I'm Kathy Angeron.
And I'm Jennifer Perini, and we're with Brevard Cultural Alliance.
Brevard Cultural Alliance is the designated local arts agency for all of Brevard County. We serve cultural organizations, artists, and present arts education programs in Brevard public schools, among lots of other things.
We're excited to welcome you back today for episode 3 of our second season of True Colors.
With True Colors, Brevard Cultural Alliance seeks to highlight diversity and inclusiveness for Brevard's cultural community by providing a platform for new voices.
Thank you again so much for joining us today. And just a quick reminder that all of our episodes are available on both our Facebook and YouTube channels.
And now it is our distinct pleasure to introduce the host of True Colors, CEO and owner of Diversity of Thought, David Jones.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you guys?
Good.
Great.
Awesome. Kathy, thank you so much. Again, as always, you guys are absolutely amazing. And Jen, thank you as well. It is always fun getting to work with you guys behind the scenes on getting these shows off the ground every other week. So I appreciate you. And we are going to throw you guys back into the studio, but we'll bring you back out later. So thank you very much. And today I'm super excited because, I grew up here in Brevard County and I'm a history guy, but I didn't realize how much history was just here. There has to be history, but I didn't know as much of the history that exists here does today. And we have some amazing individuals who are going to come on and educate us about some cool things that you may not know took place here in Brevard County. First up, I want to introduce Mr. Joseph McNeil. Now, Joseph McNeil is with the Concerned Citizens Committee of South Brevard, Inc. And joining Mr. McNeil, is Terry Jones. Terry Jones is also with the Concerned Citizens Committee of South Brevard, Inc. Terry, Joseph, how are you doing today?
Wonderful. Thank you for asking.
Yeah. So thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate you.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. All right. So today we are going to talk about the Founders of Melbourne, I had no clue about this story, but it's been so intriguing listening and learning. So if you could tell me before we get into that, what got you two involved in this? How did you get behind this initiative? What got you here?
Well, we both have our separate stories, so I'll let Mr. McNeil start.
Well, to begin with, I am a lifelong citizen of Melbourne, and I have been here now for 75 years. So pretty much the story of Melbourne always been an interest to me. But moreover, when we began the Founders Festival, being a member of Great Island Chapel AME Church under the leadership of Reverend Laws, we started the Founders Festival. And from that, I thought it was important not only just to have a Founders Festival, but to recognize these individuals who have been not even given any kind of recognition, and make them try to instill in our youth their importance. So with the Concerned Citizens as the president, we thought it was a betterment if we were able to erect a monument so that everyone would know the history of Melbourne. And that's what prompted this legacy to begin finding the roots to go forward with and what we can do to ensure that it was a permanent stay with the residents of Brevard County, Melbourne, and the state at large. So that's what prompted the Concerned Citizens to take on this initiative to erect a monument.
Okay. Now, Terry, what got you involved? So what made you just think, man, I really want to be a part of this process?
So for myself, at heart, I'm a historian. I'm also an author, and I love to research Black history. 2015, I was doing a story on Zora Neale Hurston, and I was in the Ogallie district looking for the spot where her cottage used to be. And I happened to stumble onto Overland Park, where there's a historical marker on Captain Peter Wright. And I took a photo image of it. And when I read the caption on that plaque about Captain Peter Wright, I was just astounded that this plaque had information about him being a founder. From that point, I just did more research. I started digging. I went to the libraries, and I pieced together my first article with Ebony News Today in 2016 about the founders. 2018, I did another article in Ebony News Today because I continue to research periodically between my school, my work, and that was picked up by Florida Today, also UCF media station. They came down and did a documentary with us on it, and I just continued to do research on it. One day, Mr. McNeil and we met up, and he talked to me. It was about 2 years ago, 2020. What they were doing to bring together a monument. He was familiar with the articles I had written, and he asked me to join them on this journey to erect a monument in honor of the legacy of the founders. And because this is so near and dear to my heart, I said, definitely, I'm on board. This is way long overdue. So we joined forces, and here we are today talking to you about it.
That is awesome. I'm talking with the Concerned Citizens Committee of South Brevard Inc., Terry Jones and Joseph McNeil. So we're gonna, get into this monument that we will have here in Brevard. But before we talk about the monument, let's get a little history of who this monument is going to represent, because not many know the story of these three gentlemen. And so if we could start, let's go ahead and start with the first gentleman. I believe his name is Peter Wright.
Correct. So just imagine Peter Wright and the others, Wright brothers and Balaam Allen, a former slave. This is post-Civil War, the American Civil War. In 1867, they are brought to Melbourne. At the time, the area is called Crane Creek. Their former slave owners can no longer afford to have them because now it's the Emancipation Proclamation. They have to bring them out of slavery to a home to start their own homestead. So they are sailed to Melbourne, and they bring them here to help them get started. Peter Wright and his wife were the first to come. They were deeded over 160 acres of land, and they are the first early settlers that are deeded this land to begin their lives here in Crane Creek. And this area was not notarized or identified as Melbourne until 1880. So they're working with the Seminole Indians that are here, because there are others that are here, but they're working with the Seminole Indians to kind of help build this land and to do their homestead and to just put together, their lives. So, and it was quite a task for him. And when he came here, they started to raise, he's also noted for the citrus groves. They grew mangoes, oranges, grapefruits, potatoes, and later on in life, as we said, he was noted as the sailing mailman. So that came later when him and John Hector got together.
Can I mention, just when we were on earlier, it was so cool because we're talking with Jen, and she was just like, I didn't even know there was a sailing mailman. I was like, I didn't know there was a sailing mailman either.
Mm-hmm.
And it's those little things to where it's oh, okay, well, I guess it does make sense that it was a thing, but it's pretty cool information to learn and to know.
Yeah.
And just as a question, so I know that we talked about this area here. So is this what you were telling us earlier that you stumbled upon?
That's correct. So that's where, and this particular historical marker was dedicated in 1991 by the mayor who was it Joe Mullins, Mr. McNeil?
Yes, Joe Mullins, and along with the District 3 council person, and it was a young lady named Grace.
Yes, and if anybody wants to go to that site, it's on Lincoln Street. That site is called Overland Park on Lincoln Street. And actually, his grandson was sitting at home when this was happening. His great grandson, I apologize. His name is Ulysses Wright. He was sitting at home watching television when all this was occurring. And he's like, why didn't I know about this dedication? And he he jumps out, he jumps off from behind the television set. He jumps in his car and he drives up there. And I have a photo of him. Literally, he gets in this photo. It's in Florida Today's paper. You have to go into the archives to find it. And he gets the photo just in time to be documented. And Ulysses Wright, today, if he were still alive, he would be about 98 years old at the time that this happened. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So again, I'm talking with the Concerned Citizens Committee of South Brevard, Inc. We are talking about the original founders of Melbourne, which I believe was originally titled as Crane Creek.
Yes.
And those three founders happened to be three freed slaves. And most people don't know this history. So we just learned a little bit about Peter. Can you tell me about another one of the gentlemen? I believe the name is Wright Brothers, which is, confusing sometimes because you hear the Wright brothers and you think airplanes, but that's not who we're talking about. We are talking about Wright Brothers. Who is this individual?
So yes, Wright Brothers came very shortly after. Depends on what book you pick up. Some say he came 1880. Some say he came shortly after Peter Wright. Some accounts say he came around the same time that Peter Wright came. But we know they came in that time period, I believe, before 1870, because that's when the first white settlers came, Richard Good and his family. And Wright Brothers came with his wife, Mary Brothers, and they settled on the south side of Crane Creek. And they also did the citrus groves. They were deeded about 7.5 acres of land. And he went to the Bear Islands to work and to also farm citrus groves as well. Now, the interesting thing about Wright Brothers is him and his wife, they had the first child born in Melbourne, William Rufus Brothers. And so when we say first child, not first black child, not first white child, the first child. And also his child was also the first child to attend the Little Red Schoolhouse. So the Little Red Schoolhouse, which was built in 1880, that was built by the father of Richard Good. So Richard Good and his family, they were the first white settlers family to come. There was another man named Thomas that came before them from England. But the first family to come was Richard Good, and they came in 1870. And his father came later, and he built the Little Red Schoolhouse in 1880. And so Wright Brothers' son, William Rufus Brothers, was the first black child to attend that schoolhouse. And it's a little one room building. It had rows of benches, about 3 rows of benches. It could seat about maybe 10 children at a time. And history tells us that the white children attended in the morning and the black children attended in the evening. But I always want to clarify for everybody's edification that although there was that type of segregation as far as education was concerned, in the community, they all worked together, they helped each other. And people have to understand that living in that community like that, they had the elements that they had to be concerned about. They had the alligators, the snakes, the mosquitoes. Those mosquitoes were dangerous because they carried diseases that would kill you. And so they all had to work together. It was swampy in Florida. It was for a long time, Melbourne was considered to be uninhabitable because it was so swampy. So they all had to work together to establish their homesteads and to live together. But
Sarah,
yes.
But can I go back? I'm sorry. I just want to go back to something that you stated. You said that the first child born in the city of Melbourne was born to freed slaves
Yeah.
way back. That's I would never have known that.
Yes.
And that is absolutely amazing and interesting. We do have people watching, so if you didn't know, make sure you let us know. Or if you already knew that, you could be like, I knew that, and you get your props as well. But we appreciate learning about these two gentlemen so far. So that was Peter Wright and Wright brothers. And I'm saying that's rough because you have Peter Wright and Wright brothers in the way.
Yeah.
But these were not the only two. There was a third gentleman as well. His name is Balaam Allen. Did I say that right?
You got it.
That. All right. So if you could briefly tell us a little bit about Balaam as well, just a quick history of who Balaam was.
Really quick, Balaam, he was younger of the three, and he came and he also settled in the south area of Crane Creek. And him and his wife, they also were deeded land. They also, I mean, we have him in the preacher outfit. The reason we kind of designate him in the preacher outfit because Greater Allen Chapel, we want to show that connection because we want to make sure people understand that Greater Allen Chapel came and it was erected as a result of Balaam Allen, Wright brothers, and then the Lipscombs, Carrie Lipscomb and Robert Lipscomb coming together in the Wright brothers' home and making a decision that it's time to have a chapel. So they did that, and in 1885, the first church was erected in 1885. So Balaam Allen was just part of that trio. He also farmed, like I said, the citrus groves. And although his history is not as great as the history of Wright brothers and Peter Wright, he's significant because he was a part of that trio. He passed away at the youngest age. He passed at 45 from rheumatism. And so we just don't have that much information on him, but he is significant in the fact that he was one of the three trio when we talk about being the Melbourne founding fathers.
I tell you what, you've got Carol Watson join us, and she said, wow. And I absolutely agree with that statement. Yeah. I agree, because as I learned, I said, wow, and I would not have known this. So I really appreciate you. Before we get into the monument, I do want to talk about, there are things here that we can do to celebrate, to appreciate, and to learn more about the history of these three gentlemen. And I know you spoke to one of them earlier. Can you tell us a little bit about the schoolhouse?
Yes, again, so I start to go into a little bit of detail about the schoolhouse. The Little Red Schoolhouse was built in 1880, and that was the first home or the first place where students were educated. Again, in the day hours, it was the white children that were educated. In the later afternoon hours, it was the Black children that were educated. There's a ledger that shows the white students. There's like about 10 of them that attended in the daytime. And of the 10 students, 8 of the 10 students, they were all Goods. So remember, I mentioned earlier that Richard Good and his wife, Jessie Good, they were the first white family settlers that came to this area. And so I don't know, all those youth were their children, but there were a lot of kids that were
they had a lot of time on their hands. And
and for the Black students that attended later in the afternoon, we had Peter Wright Jr., we had Balaam Allen Jr., and we had William Rufus Brothers. So those students' names showed up on that ledger. So each one of our founding fathers had a son that was attending school.
Okay.
At that Little Red Schoolhouse.
Now, can you actually go into that schoolhouse to see how small it was? Or is it like, I know you can visit the botanical gardens, but like, can you walk in there to experience, like, this is how, okay, I was just curious because I'm like, I can imagine, because it looks so tiny and I'm like, that's where they went to school.
It's tiny, but you can look in, you can peek through a window and you can see inside, but you can't walk in. So
that's super. So, you know, they talk about overcrowding in schools today. That's 5 people and you're overcrowding for 5 kids and a teacher. All right. So, and then we also saw that there was this home. So this was the home of whom?
Wright brothers. the other slide, that was the home of Wright brothers. This particular slide is the first Okay, this is the home of Wright brothers. Yes. And this is, of course, it's gone through several renovations, obviously, because, but this is the original home with all the renovations. So a lot of this stuff is intact. There's a particular type of cedar. Once the house now has been moved across the street from Greater Island Chapel, Greater Island Chapel AME. And once they have it renovated to be a museum, you'll walk in it and you'll see the walls. The walls are made of a cedar wood that is very unique to this area. Matter of fact, these trees, I don't even think they exist anymore, but they have a very unique fragrance. They smell very nice, but they say these trees don't exist anymore. And I don't even remember the name of the tree, unfortunately. But it's a very sturdy type of wood, and obviously it lasts a lifetime.
Well, I'm really excited. I know that they're doing the renovations so that it can become a museum. That is going to be another piece of history and another tourist attraction that we can actually highlight and showcase, so that when people who live here or visit, and hopefully we'll get the same ordeal with the monument and with the home that the Moore Center has, to where, like, this is a part of history that the students really should be learning. Because I had no clue. I'm a Central junior high, go Eagles, Melbourne Bulldog, go Bulldogs. And I got to tell you, no clue. I had no clue of any of this. So I would love it to see if we can find a way to get that in the curriculum. I do want us to get to the main event. And the main event is something absolutely amazing that you all are working hard to get accomplished. And that is the monument. And before, I just want to say a really quick question about where the museum is. That's across the street from Greater Island Chapel. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. Okay. And then that is on Lipscomb?
At the corner of Lipscomb and Brothers Avenue, yes.
Corner of Lipscomb and Brothers Avenue. And you know what? I grew up with these street names and never put two and two together until I met you two wonderful people. And I'm like, oh,
yes,
okay.
Yes.
That makes all the sense in the world, which is cool. I wonder how many people that live on these streets know the deeply rooted history of the names that come from the streets that they reside on. Like, to me, it's like Lipscomb is different to me now. Like, it means something different, which is pretty cool. And same thing with Brothers. And I'm going too far. All right. So
can I say one thing, David, before we move on? I did a presentation this past Friday to some youth. And one of the challenges I said to them, I said, we stand on the shoulders of our founders. Think about this. They were the first people here in Melbourne. So there is a big possibility that you may have some type of blood relation to them through the bloodline. You could be a descendant. So I challenge you to talk to your parents, and as your parents to talk to their parents and their parents, and find out, learn your ancestry, learn your history, because you could be a direct descendant to one of these founders and not even know it. So they were very excited about that challenge. And I hope to do something one day, in respect to that.
Very good. Well, it's, we got to get to this main event, because I have seen the idea of what this monument will be. And I got to tell you, I think it's amazing. So talk to us. So first and foremost, where would this monument actually be located?
The monument going to be located at Riverview Park. That's right off of US 1 and Jackson Street.
Okay. And this is nice. So this is just a rendition, because this is what the goal to get to is to be able to get this beautiful monument erected for us to be able to visit, see, learn. And where are we in this process?
At the present time, we are in the midst of raising the necessary capital to erect the monument. The concerned citizens, unfortunately, being a 501c3, are very limited when it come to capital. So we're dependent upon the residents, corporations, fraternity groups, churches, all the above to help us raise the monies to erect this statue. So we're appealing to every one to assist in this endeavor.
Very good. And we're going to talk about how they could do that. I do have a quick question. Is there a historical importance of that location? Was there a reason why we picked that particular park?
Yes. Well, go ahead.
Go ahead, Miss Jones.
Yes, because when we talk about where the founders actually were deeded the land, and I mentioned Front Street, Riverview Park is part of that Front Street area. And actually, that's a lot of that land area. That's where Peter Wright had his homestead. He owned all that land. If you think about between what Peter Wright owned, Balaam Allen, and Wright brothers, they owned all of that land north and south of Crane Creek. All of that land was deeded to them. And so anything South Melbourne, that was their land. So we could have picked any location, but we picked Riverview Park because we wanted to do a partnership, first of all, with the city of Melbourne, because we want to be able, we're looking long-term too, something for a joint partnership where we could work together to ensure that the monument is well maintained. It has good visibility, and also it's nice, it's right there on the Indian River Lagoon. And that park, I mean, today is so well maintained. And our partners, we have partners right there very close in that proximity as well. So we just could not have picked a better location. And we're very proud to say, after 2 opportunities to meet with the city of Melbourne and have a conversation about their partnership, we are now in a position where they have given us a conceptual support to move forward with the project, and they will be there to support us.
Very good. And Mr. McNeil, you said that part of that challenge is, everything is always going to take money. That's how it works. So one, I do want to say, if for anybody who wants more information, they can go to www.foundersmonument.org, and all the information's on there. And what I appreciate about your site is you even have the ticker that showcases what the goal is and where you are in getting to that goal. So it's very transparent. Everybody can see how that progress is getting made. But is there any other things that are coming up that you're doing to raise the funds that people can get involved with?
Yes, we at this point in time, we are planning fundraisers. We have talked to the representative of the Brevard Zoo, so we'll be planning something there. They want to get involved. We're still brainstorming some of the ventures that we will be getting into. We know that Sheriff Ivory have said that he would lend a helping hand in fundraising. We also looking forward to a film festival in October. I think that Terry is working diligently on that project to make sure it comes to a full circle. So yes, we're planning different types of fundraisers, and we're just asking that the public, if they would, stay tuned, because we will be putting all of these on the website or Facebook, wherever we can garnish some support.
Very good. Terry, you wanted to add to that?
I do. I want to go back to what Ms. McNeil said earlier about getting the support. We are looking for sponsors, and that's why we have the website. And if you were to look at our trifold, we have various ways you can support us. Whether you want to do a large sponsorship and get your sponsorship labeled as a Peter Wright Brothers, or Balaam Allen sponsorship, that's a $25,000 sponsorship. You'll be right there on that wall and right there on the entrance of that archway. So you'll be embedded on a plaque for a lifetime. Or if you want to do a paver sponsorship, if you want to just flip to that other slide, they can see how that works, because we'll have like a walkway that goes straight to the monument. And what we're going to do with that walkway is going to be all pavers. And we're going to go from the entrance of the walkway to midway. That will be a $200 paver. And then from midway up to the front of the monument it'll be a $300 paver. And then right inside the front of the monument, that will be a $1,000 paver. And then behind the monument, still inside that, about that 4-foot knee wall, but to the back of the monument, that will be a $500 payment. So when you're making those purchases, you're also making a contribution to have the monument erected. And we need our community to really help us get real serious about this and help us raise the funds to get this monument erected. Our goal is 2024. And Mr. McNeil and I, we always have this conversation. We have to be intentional now. We don't have time to waste because 2024 will be here before we know it. We don't want to have the money in our coffers by 2024. We want to have that monument erected by 2024.
Well, I tell you what, the way I see these names of individuals at different organizations, because they get to put, their name and stamp it as a part of supporting that individual cause, whatever it is. It's amazing that you have this opportunity to say, hey, I want my family to also be attached to this history. I want my business to be attached to this history. I know we won't have enough time to show, but I will say that I know that there are other videos that they can check out with you all as relates to show just individual business leaders and community leaders who are also supporting this effort. I've seen Pastor Lorenzo Laws, obviously, from Greater Island Chapel, Nancy Peltonen from the Greater Palm Bay Chamber of Commerce, Vernon Anderson, Jackie Colin, who's a former Brevard County Commissioner. You've got people who are stepping up around the community, coming out saying, this is something that's great. It's what we need. It's about highlighting our history, but it's also about showcasing for ourselves that are here. But it's also great to be able to have more and more locations. So when people come to visit us, they can say, hey, let's learn about this area that we're in Brevard. And we're saying, no, if you want to learn, you can actually go here, look at this beautiful monument, learn about the stories of the founders of Melbourne, which I really did not know until I got to partner with you all, which is absolutely, I cannot thank you enough for the information of what you're doing and what you're sharing and the work that you two are putting together. And you said 2024. Now, is there significance because 2024 or is that just the goal?
That's a goal. That's a goal.
All right. I like it.
Not only that, Mr. David, is the fact that we just want to be able to improve the neighborhood, the immediate neighborhood. And we think that by virtue of bringing tourists and people from other areas going to help boost that development of the neighborhoods also. So we are pleased to be a part of the newness and betterment of the city of Melbourne.
I like it. We're uplifting communities by bringing art into the community. Right. Man, I got to tell you, I'm sure Brevard Cultural Alliance is like, heck yeah, we're going to uplift communities by bringing in art. Listen, Terry, we're cousin, as I like to say, just because, we share the last name.
That's right.
Mr. Joseph McNeil, thank you two so much for joining us today, for letting us know about the Founders Monument project that is happening. It's not a concept anymore, folks. We are raising money. It's got approval. There's going to be fundraisers. So please, please, please do what you can. Just learned this recently from Tara Jones at City Council meeting. Thank you so much, Tara, for joining us, as well as and art makes people happy. Yes, art does make people happy. So let's find a way to bring this beautiful art to our city of Melbourne and our county of Brevard. Again, thank you all. And if you want more information, www.foundersmonument.org. Check it out. Become a part of history and give. Get your paver and be a part of something that's going to be here forever. Thank you all for watching.
Come to the Melbourne Founders Festival, October 3rd.
Yes, come to the Melbourne Founders Festival. It's going to be a party. It's always a good time.
That's right.
And we're gonna. I don't think we could do it last year because of COVID. Is that correct?
That's right.
All right. So, did I freeze? Oh, there we go. Sorry, I froze for a moment. But Founders Festival, it's gonna be back this year, October. We're gonna have a good time. I'm David Jones. Mr. McNeil, Ms. Jones, thank you guys
Yes.
for watching. Have a
Thank
very
you.
good day.
Thank you.
Mhm.